So what if I told you the secret to growing way bigger, stronger crops wasn't some new chemical or a fancy fertilizer, but a microscopic ally that's already living in the soil? We're going to dive into some incredible new research that's uncovered a natural partnership with, honestly, game-changing potential for how we grow our food.
Let's just start with this number, because it really says it all. 46%. That is the potential increase in a corn plant's total bulk, its entire weight, just by using one specific, totally natural bacterium. That's a massive boost, and today we're going to find out exactly how it works.
And look, the reason this is so important is because of the enormous challenge we're all facing. We have this monumental task of feeding nearly 10 billion people by the year 2050. That puts an unbelievable amount of pressure on farmers to grow more and, this is key, to do it in a way that's sustainable.
Now, this is where biotechnology comes in. But hold on, we're not talking about something from a sci-fi movie. We're talking about using nature's own toolkit. The tiny organisms that have been evolving with plants for millions of years to help us grow more food with a much smaller environmental footprint.
So how do we actually tap into this natural power? Well, the absolute best way to think about it is like a probiotic, but for plants. Yeah, you know how good bacteria can help your gut health? Well, it turns out there are these microscopic helpers in the soil that can totally supercharge a plant's growth right from day one.
All right, so the official scientific term for these little guys is plant growth promoting bacteria, or just PGPB for short. These are bacteria that are already out there in nature, and when you apply them to seeds or soil, they team up with the plant, giving it a huge head start in life. It's a way of working with nature, not against it.
So what are they actually doing down there? Well, think of them as a personal support team for the plant. They help it suck up more nutrients, they improve its hormone balance, and they even make it tougher against stress. But the real magic, the absolute game changer, is that they help the plant grow longer, stronger roots. And that's the foundation for everything.
And that brings us to the star of our show today. It's a specific strain of a bacterium called Bacillus aryabhattai. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. Researchers pinpointed this particular microbe, which they found just hanging out in soils where corn is grown, as a top-tier candidate for giving a major crop a serious advantage.
Of course, in science, you can't just have a hunch. You've got to prove it, right? So a team of researchers designed a really elegant experiment to measure exactly what kind of impact this little bacterium would have on corn plants right at the start of their lives.
And the process was super straightforward. First, they took corn seeds and coated them with 5 different amounts of the bacteria, including a control group that got none at all. Then they planted them and just let them grow for 18 days. Finally, they measured everything, and I mean everything, how long the shoots and roots were, and the plant's total weight after drying it out.
Now, the scientists weren't just asking, does this stuff work? They were trying to figure out how much is the perfect amount. They were basically hunting for the Goldilocks dose, not too little, not too much, but the amount that was just right to get the absolute best results.
And wow, the results? You could literally see them with your own eyes. It was striking. On one side, you've got the normal baseline growth of the plants with no help. But on the other, the plants that got the bacterial boost, they were just visibly bigger, healthier, more robust. The difference is night and day.
All right, let's break down the hard numbers, because this is where it gets really wild. Starting from the ground up, at that perfect dose, the treated corn plants grew roots that were 32% longer. Longer roots mean the plant can reach way more water and nutrients. That's a massive advantage, especially for a seedling.
And of course, a stronger foundation underground, well, that fuels some explosive growth above ground. The shoot dry matter, which is just the weight of the stalk and leaves, was up by a full 42%. So this isn't just a slightly taller plant, we're talking about a substantially heavier, more developed plant.
But honestly, the most stunning result for me was in the roots themselves. Their total mass, the actual weight of the root system, shot up by an incredible 53%. Just think about that. That's a 53% stronger engine for the entire plant, built for resilience and productivity from the second it sprouts.
So what about that Goldilocks dose? Well, the results showed a really clear peak. The biggest benefits happen at that sweet spot of around 20 to 22 milliliters per kilogram of seed. What's super interesting is that adding more didn't actually help more. The effect just kind of leveled off. And that's a crucial piece of information for farmers because it proves it's not about using as much as you can, it's about using the right amount. That makes it effective and affordable.
Okay, so we've seen the lab results, and they're pretty amazing. But what does this all mean for the future of farming, out in the real world?
Let's zoom out and take a look at the bigger picture.
So, let's boil it all down. What are the key takeaways? Number 1, this bacterium is the real deal. It gives corn a major growth boost right out of the gate. Number 2, we know the precise recipe for what works best. And number 3, which is super important, the treatment is completely safe. It didn't stop a single seed from sprouting. It all adds up to a really powerful new tool for farmers.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The researchers themselves wrapped it up by saying this bacterium is an excellent option for creating these seed treatments, and that it has enormous potential for farming, not just in Brazil where they did the study, but all over the world.
It really makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? This incredible partnership wasn't invented in a lab. It was just discovered. It's been happening right under our feet, in the soil, this whole time. So it kind of begs the question, what other natural allies are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to find them?